You ever spend months babying a plant, watering it, talking to it, checking on it like it's your child, only to finally harvest it and think, wow, that was a whole lot of effort for something that tastes like disappointment and regret? Yeah, been there. More times than I'd like to admit, honestly. Today we're pulling back the curtain on 15 crops that sound amazing when you see them online or on seed packets, but in reality, they'll waste your time, your space, and maybe even your sanity. These are the ones that trick you into thinking you found the next big garden success story until they take over your bed, attract every pest in a 5-mile radius, or taste like soggy cardboard when you finally pick them. And here's the fun part. Some of these might surprise you. A few are even what people swear by as garden favorites. But I'm going to be real with you. They're not worth it, at least not for most of us. So stick around, because I might just name a crop you've been proudly growing, and by the end of this video, you might want to rethink that space in your garden bed. This is Serene Green Gardens, where we keep gardening peaceful, practical, and budget-friendly. No gimmicks, no nonsense, just real talk from one gardener to another. So grab a cup of something cold, get comfortable, and let's dig in. All right, let's kick things off with a crop that sounds harmless until you actually grow it. The Jerusalem artichoke, also known as the sunchoke, or as some gardeners affectionately call it, the fartichoke. And honestly, that nickname tells you almost everything you need to know. When I first planted it, I thought I was adding something unique to the garden, something rustic, earthy, maybe even a little gourmet. What I actually got was a plant that decided it owned the place. This thing spreads like it's got a mission from nature herself. You plant it once and congratulations, you've basically signed up for a lifetime membership. It'll pop up year after year, whether you want it to or not. And then there's the, after effects. Let's just say the nickname fartichoke wasn't invented by accident. Unless you've got an iron stomach or a very understanding household, this one's a risky dinner guest. Sure, some folks say there's a secret way to cook them so they don't cause digestive chaos, but I haven't found that secret yet, and trust me, I've tried. Now, flavor-wise, it's fine. It tastes sort of like a potato and a water chestnut, but honestly, if I want that starchy comfort, I'll just eat a potato. So unless you're growing for ornamental reasons, because they do have pretty sunflower-like blooms, Jerusalem artichokes are one of those once-bitten, twice-shy plants. Beautiful? Maybe. Worth the hassle? Not for me. All right, moving on to another plant that fooled me early on, the thorned blackberry. Listen, I love blackberries. They're one of my favorite fruits to snack on right off the vine. But thorned varieties, those are for people who like pain. When I planted mine, I had this romantic image of harvesting big juicy berries in the summer sun. The reality was me, tangled in branches, bleeding like I just lost a sword fight with my own garden. Every harvest felt like a battle. Even walking by them, you'd get snagged, and the worst part? The berries themselves aren't any better than what you get from the thornless kind, so why keep the torture devices? If you've got thorned blackberries right now, I'm not saying rip them out today, but when it's time to replant, go thornless. You'll still get those sweet, plump berries, but without the scratches, band-aids, and regret. Your arms will thank you, your laundry will thank you, and your neighbors will stop wondering why you keep yelling every time you pick fruit. So yeah, lesson learned. Fancy name doesn't always mean better plant. Some crops sound exotic, some seem authentic or old-fashioned, but sometimes the modern, easy version is the smarter move. And that's the kind of peace your garden deserves. Next up on the list is Kawano, also known as horned melon or jelly melon. Now, on the surface, this plant looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. Those bright orange fruits covered in spikes, they definitely grab attention. When I first saw them, I thought, wow, this will be such a cool addition to the garden, something exotic, something to impress people with. But let me tell you, the reality is a whole different story. The Kawano vine has attitude. It grows fast, gets prickly, and acts like it owns the trellis. You'll end up with a spiky, aggressive jungle that looks impressive for a while until you realize it's not actually giving you anything worth eating. You might get 1 or 2 melons all season, if you're lucky. And when you finally slice one open, the disappointment begins. Inside, you'll find this bright green, jelly-like center with seeds floating in it. And sure, it looks interesting, but when you take that first bite, it's kind of confusing. It tastes like a cucumber that couldn't decide if it wanted to be a kiwi or a lime and failed at both. The texture doesn't help either. It's slimy, seedy, and a little weird to chew. It's one of those fruits that make you wonder, did I just eat that right? So, unless you're growing it purely as a conversation starter, the guano is one of those crops that gives you more trouble than it's worth. Between the spikes, the low yield, and the strange flavor, it's basically a flashy plant that doesn't deliver. Beautiful fruit, terrible return. And hey, if you're enjoying these nonsense gardening tips, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It helps keep this channel growing without costing you a dime. Plus, you'll get more honest gardening advice that saves you time, money, and frustration in your garden.
Now, let's move on to what I like to call the looks easy but isn't club. These are the crops that fool you into thinking they'll be low-effort, big-reward plants. But once you actually grow them, you realize they've been lying to you the whole time. Let's start with lemon cucumbers. They've got such a lovely name, right? Lemon cucumber. You hear that and think, ooh, something refreshing, crisp, maybe even citrusy. Well, no. What you actually get is a round, yellow, softball-sized cucumber that looks cute in photos, but tastes like disappointment in salad form. They're watery, overly seedy, and the flavor just doesn't hit. It's not terrible, it's just flat. It's like someone took all the joy out of a regular cucumber and replaced it with texture confusion. And here's the ironic part. They grow like crazy. You'll get vines full of them, enough to fill up your kitchen counter and your patience. The problem is, you'll probably struggle to eat even one. Every gardener I know who's tried them says the same thing. They're pretty, but I don't really want to eat them. So unless you're going for Instagram aesthetics, save your energy for something tastier. Now let's talk about the basic zucchini. This one might hurt a few feelings, but stay with me. Zucchini has this reputation as the perfect beginner plant. It grows fast, produces a ton, and feels like an easy win. But after a few seasons, you start realizing something. The flavor's not that great, and half of what you pick ends up mushy. You'll be swimming in zucchinis before you know it, but they're mostly just watery, bland, and turn soggy the second they hit a pan. I'm not saying don't grow squash. I'm saying try better ones. There are so many summer squash varieties that completely blow basic zucchini out of the water. Patty pans, for example, have this firm texture and rich flavor. Or Lebanese squash, which is creamy, tender, and tastes like what zucchini wishes it could be. Once you try those, you'll never go back to the basic kind. And finally, edamame. The cute little soybean pods that make you feel like a health-conscious farmer. I wanted so badly to make these work, but unless you live somewhere with long, consistent summer heat, edamame just isn't worth the hassle. The plants take forever to mature, and by the time they finally do, you'll probably harvest enough pods for maybe one snack, and not even a big one. They're also super sensitive to temperature swings. Too cool, too cloudy, too humid, and they just sulk. Meanwhile, bush beans are out there thriving, producing more food in half the time. You can eat the whole pod, get way more yield, and they don't make you wait 80 days wondering if you did something wrong. So yeah, these three crops look easy, but they'll test your patience more than they'll feed you. Quick reminder, if this video's saving you from another garden flop, hit that subscribe button right now. We post new easy gardening videos every single week to help you grow smarter, not harder. And who knows, you might just find your next favorite plant in the next upload. All right, let's talk about the next group on this list, the overhyped showoffs. You know the type. The crops that look so beautiful in photos, everyone online is bragging about them, and you think, I need that in my garden. But then you grow it and realize you've basically been catfished by a plant. Let's start with the novelty tomatoes. I'm talking about things like Brad's Atomic Grape, the rainbow tomatoes, the striped varieties that look like they belong in an art gallery. Don't get me wrong, they look amazing on Instagram. You'll feel like a tomato influencer just snapping a photo of them, but once you taste them, oh boy, it's like biting into a midlife crisis. Some are watery, some are bitter, and some just don't know what they want to be. See, the problem with these flashy varieties is that they're often bred for looks, not for flavor. You'll put all this effort into growing them, staking, pruning, feeding, and in return, you get something that looks exciting, but tastes like disappointment. And when you've spent 3 months nurturing a tomato, you deserve better than meh. So instead of chasing the prettiest fruit on the seed packet, stick with the classics. Sun Gold, Cherokee Purple, Better Boy, or Brandywine, those are the ones that never fail. They taste rich, sweet, and balanced, the kind of flavor that makes you close your eyes for a second when you take that first bite. Your taste buds deserve that kind of joy, not a flavor experiment gone wrong. Now let's move on to one that personally broke my heart. Napa cabbage. I love how it looks. Those soft, riffled leaves, that perfect oblong shape. It's beautiful. You feel so proud when it starts to head up, but here's the thing no one tells you. It's basically an Airbnb for earwigs, and not just one or two. I mean entire families moving in rent-free. Every time I've grown Napa cabbage, it starts off great. Then the leaves begin curling tight, the head forms, and you think, yes, this is the one. Then harvest day comes, and you slice it open, and boom. Bugs. Everywhere. Earwigs, debris, and heartbreak all wrapped up in what used to be your perfect cabbage. It's just one of those crops that teases you, makes you think you've nailed it, and then betrays you at the finish line. Sure, you can try all the pest tricks, row covers, neem oil, even beer traps, but they still find a way. So unless you love cleaning bugs out of your greens, it's just one of those plants that's just not worth the fight. And then there's Malabar spinach. This one had me excited at first. A vining spinach that thrives in heat? That sounded perfect. But reality check. Unless you live in a tropical sauna, this plant just sulks. You'll give it the sunniest, hottest spot you have, and it'll sit there like, maybe later.
It's supposed to climb beautifully and give you lush, glossy leaves, but for most gardeners, it just creeps along the soil and looks a little lost. And when it does grow, the texture of the leaves can be a little thick and slimy when cooked, not exactly what you imagine when you think fresh spinach. So unless you're in Florida, Hawaii, or somewhere where humidity fogs your glasses when you walk outside, it's probably not going to perform the way you hope. That trellis space could be better used for something dependable, like beans or even cucumbers, that actually reward you for your care. So yeah, the overhyped show-offs might look stunning on your feed, but in real life, they'll test your patience, your pest tolerance, and your taste buds. Beautiful, yes. Worth it? Not even close. Now let's talk about a group of plants I call the high-maintenance, low-reward club. These are the ones that act like divas, demanding your constant attention, ideal conditions, and perfect timing, and after all that effort, they still give you nothing special in return. Let's start with celery. Celery. This plant is like that one friend who always needs something. Constant moisture, rich soil, partial shade. It has a checklist longer than a grocery receipt. You look away for a week, and it decides to shrivel up and protest. Keep it too wet, it sulks. Not wet enough, it soaks even harder. I've grown celery more than once just to see if maybe I was the problem. Turns out, no, it's the plant. The truth is, celery takes forever to mature, and when you finally do harvest it, it tastes fine, not bad, but not mind-blowing either. And if we're being honest, store-bought celery tastes almost identical. It's one of those rare cases where the supermarket version is cheaper, crunchier, and a lot less emotionally draining. So unless you love a challenge for the sake of it, I'd say give this one a pass. Use that space for something that actually appreciates you. Now, cauliflower. Oh, this one really knows how to tease you. Every seed packet shows those perfect, white, firm heads, the kind that make you feel like a pro just looking at them. But the reality? Cauliflower is one of the pickiest vegetables you can grow. It wants just the right temperature. Not too hot, not too cold. One sudden heat wave and it decides to bolt. Too much sun, it burns. Too little, it sulks. It's like the Goldilocks of the garden. And don't even get me started on the pests. Aphids, cabbage worms, loopers, they all seem to have cauliflower on speed dial. You'll spend weeks protecting it, fussing over it, babying it with row covers and sprays, and in the end, you'll still lift the leaves one morning and see the entire insect kingdom having breakfast on your crop.
Then, after months of care, you finally get a small head, smaller than your fist, and it's already starting to separate. It's not that cauliflower can't be grown, it's just that the return on effort is way too low for most of us. And then we have Brussels sprouts. Oh boy. I know they look fun. Those cute little mini cabbages stacked on a stalk. It feels like something out of a storybook garden. But unless you have serious patience and plenty of space, Brussels sprouts will test your limits. They take nearly a full year from seed to harvest. That's right, you'll watch an entire gardening season come and go while these plants slowly inch along. They need cool weather, steady moisture, and tons of room, and even if you give them all that, the pests show up anyway. Aphids, caterpillars, whiteflies, they love Brussels sprouts like they've been waiting all year for them. And the saddest part, after all that time and effort, the flavor isn't guaranteed. Some batches are great, some are bitter, and some never form proper sprouts at all. So here's my take. Unless you've got a mini farm or you just really love a long-term challenge, skip it. There's so many easier crops that will give you more food, more joy, and fewer headaches. Celery, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, they might make you feel like a pro if you pull it off, but for most home gardeners, they're the definition of all work, little reward. And we're here for peaceful, practical gardening, not stress disguised as vegetables. And now we've reached the final group, the garden illusions. These are the crops that look simple, wholesome, and satisfying in theory. The ones every beginner gardener gets talked into growing because they're easy, or they'll save you money. But the truth? They'll teach you humility faster than anything else in the garden. Let's start with carrots. Everyone says carrots are one of the easiest root crops to grow. Lies. Absolute lies. Carrots are picky little divas disguised as humble vegetables. They need deep, soft, loose soil with 0 stones, no clumps, and just the right moisture balance. One rock in the way and your carrot decides to fork, twist, or grow a stubby orange nub that looks like a cartoon foot. You spend weeks staring at that perfectly even row of tiny green frills thinking, yes, I'm growing carrots. And then harvest day comes, you pull one up, and it's the size of your pinky finger. Or worse, it's split down the middle like it had a bad day underground. Don't get me wrong, when you do get them right, homegrown carrots taste amazing, sweet and crisp and full of flavor. But getting there? It's a patience game. And if you're gardening in heavy or clay soil, just skip the stress and buy them from the farmer's market. You'll save yourself a few gray hairs. Now, let's talk about corn. I get it. There's something romantic about the idea of growing corn in your backyard. Tall green stalks waving in the breeze, that perfect summer vibe. But here's the problem. Corn needs a lot of space. Like, a lot. You can't just grow 2 or 3 plants and expect magic. You need blocks of them for proper pollination. Otherwise, you end up with sad, half-filled cobs that look like they gave up halfway through. And for all that space and water you give them, each plant will reward you with maybe 2 ears of corn. That's it. 2. Plus, you'll be fighting raccoons, caterpillars, and birds the whole way. It's like hanging an all-you-can-eat buffet sign in your backyard for every pest in the neighborhood. And here's the kicker. Store-bought corn, especially in season, is cheap and delicious. Farmers already have the scale and conditions to grow it perfectly, so let them have that one. You focus your energy on crops that actually make sense for small gardens. And finally, potatoes. Potatoes. They lure you in with the promise of abundance. Plant 1 potato, they say, and you'll harvest a bucketful. And sure, it sounds great until you realize how much space they take up, how deep they need to grow, and how many bugs want a piece of them. Colorado potato beetles, blight, wireworms. It's like an open invitation to the pest parade. You'll spend weeks mounding up soil or straw, checking for pests, watering constantly, and then at harvest time, you dig through the bed and think, that's it? The yield often looks impressive at first, but when you weigh the effort, the space, and the fact that a whole bag of potatoes cost a few dollars at the store, the math just doesn't add up. Don't get me wrong, digging for potatoes is fun. It's like a garden treasure hunt. But from a practical standpoint, it's one of the least efficient crops you can grow. So, to wrap this up, carrots, corn, and potatoes, the so-called garden staples, are kind of illusions. They make you feel like you're doing real gardening, but most of the time they take more than they give. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. Wasted time, wasted effort, and unnecessary frustration. If you want your garden to actually give back, focus on the crops that thrive easily, taste incredible, and keep producing without a fight. Gardening shouldn't feel like a part-time job. It should feel rewarding, peaceful, and, well, serene. Hence the name Serene Green Gardens. Look, I know a few of these might have stung a little. Maybe I mentioned one of your all-time favorite crops or something you've been proudly growing for years. And hey, that's okay. Gardening's personal. What works for me might not work for you, and that's part of the fun. But I'll say this. Cutting out the underperformers, the high-maintenance headaches, and the look pretty but taste lousy crops, it makes space for the ones that actually give back. The ones that fill your garden and your kitchen with real joy. Because at the end of the day, gardening should feel good. It shouldn't feel like a battle every season just to get something edible. It should be peaceful, satisfying, and worth the effort you put in. So, if you recognize a few troublemakers from this list in your own garden, don't feel bad about saying goodbye to them. Think of it as your garden glow-up. Now, I want to hear from you. What's that one plant that broke your heart this season? The one that looked promising but turned into a total flop? Drop it down in the comments. I'll be reading through them and replying to a few. I'd love hearing what's been going on in your gardens because, let's be honest, we've all had our fair share of plant drama. And hey, if you found even one plant on this list that you're officially crossing off your grow list, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps more gardeners find this channel, and it lets me know that these kinds of honest garden talks are helping you out. And before you go, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button, because your next harvest, it could be your best one yet. And I'll be right here helping you make it happen. This is Serene Green Gardens. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and as always, happy gardening, my friends.